We are officially going live on our YouTube and Twitch channel. So you guys can join on one of those two if you want to be a part of the conversation. You're going to enjoy hearing some opinions and some different things that I've got lined up for you all. Let me see.
Just details from the Sean Diddy Combs case, like truckloads of sex toys and baby oil, have captured the public's imagination. But
There we go. I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's why I need you guys to tune in to YouTube or Twitch right now. I've attached the links on the page, and you guys can hear it. So if you're going to be on Twitch and listen, there won't be a way for you to hear it directly unless I maybe I can play it out loud a little bit. I know there'll be a little bit of feedback. Let me see what we got.
just details from the Sean Diddy Combs case, like truckloads of sex toys and baby oil, have captured the public's imagination. But I haven't seen a meaningful explanation of the charges in the case. So let me break it down for you today.
That's what we're doing. What's up, Jill? I've got everybody locked in. Yep. Say hello when you join me here on What's up, Trina? What's up, Rose? I see you guys on my YouTube channel. And people have been asking me, my opinion and want to have a conversation about the situation that's going on in the music industry right now with one of the most high profile people in the music industry for the past, like 15, 20, maybe 30 years. You know what I'm saying? That we've had Sean Puff Daddy Combs, or Diddy or Puffy or whatever name that you decided to call him, who's been influential in the hip hop culture. And, there's been a lot going on and a lot to be said. And some of the cool things that are out there, you know what I mean? Like, I love the support that he's getting from the entertainment community because, we've seen this before. We've seen this play run time and time again. This isn't the first time we've seen this play run. We've seen this play run with Bill Cosby and with R. Kelly. And Bill Cosby is home right now. I don't know if any of you guys knew that, but Bill Cosby is at home right now. His charges were dropped. They came to the conclusion that, it was a setup, so they were trying to drain him of his money and then publicly humiliate him, which is a tactic that they use to tear down iconic people. And we're starting to see that here with Puffy, even to the point where the community itself, is admonishing him without even giving him a fair shot. We don't know exactly what's going on. So one of the cool things is I've got a video I'm going to play. This is why you guys need to join me on either Twitch or on YouTube. Once you join, make sure you hit the like button. Let me know you're here. Also, type your name. I see Rose. I see Trina. I see a few more people in the live right now. Make sure you guys are tapping in so I know you're here. This is a fully engagement style conversation. It won't be just my opinion. It'll be some other opinions that are out there, but I need you guys to type and communicate in the chat so I know that you're there. And if you're going to stay on, you guys can stay on TikTok, but you won't have an opportunity to see or, it's a better experience when you join Twitch or TikTok to hear this conversation. I'm going to give you guys, what's up, Sassy? Oh, it's been a minute. I'm going to give you a preview of what we were talking about.
Just details from the Sean Diddy Combs case, like truckloads of sex toys and baby oil, have captured the public's imagination. But I haven't seen a meaningful explanation of the charges in the case. So let me break it down for you today.
So we're gonna hear more from him, and I think it's important that you guys have a good listen because he breaks down the indictment in a way that's consumable, so that you can understand exactly where he, what he's dealing with. Thank you, Jill. You can understand exactly what Diddy is accused of, who's accusing him, and what the effects of this accusation is going to be. So make sure you guys are tapping in. Make sure you guys, if you're on TikTok, which I see a few people still on TikTok, go ahead and tap the screen. If you're not going to join over there, Parlay, what's up? Typically what's happening, bro, in the industry is they try to defame you. So similar to what is going on with Donald Trump, they try to defame Donald Trump and then assassinate his character. But it was all the thing about his situation, which is why they couldn't really do it. Just about everything he was doing was public. You know what I mean? Like it's on public record. Like he, you can't assassinate a person who's as transparent as he was. Like Donald Trump is one of the most transparent people. And when Biden got in office, I told people, I said, man, you guys are gonna have to, I mean, respect the fact that this is the most transparent you will ever see a president. This is as transparent as it gets. And of course, now you hear about all the underhanded things that have been pushed through under Biden and Harris, the different things and plays that they've been running, and the inclusion of all these different communities and people that they've allowed coming to the game. So you have an opportunity to see that and hear that, and that's one of the challenges that we're dealing with as a nation, is trying to reel back what's been done. And and we'll get into a little bit of that, because it's all kind of goes together with these iconic people who are going against the grain. What up, Brandy? We're live on YouTube and Twitch, but if you're going to be on TikTok, hit the tap the button. But iconic people, they have to assassinate their character publicly first. So this is what we saw with the raid. Why the raid was so public? Like, don't you ask yourself, how does the news stations get to these places and have such amazing views about what's going on, in these situations with these stars? It's because it's all thought out, meaning they have to contact news stations and different people like that to get out there and report on it so that it catches on like wildfire. I'll give you guys another instance that the world was duped and led to believe a narrative before we ever had it caught on like wildfire, which it never should have. And that's the George Floyd incident. If I have to talk about the George Floyd incident, I'll just tell you there's no way that a person with a counterfeit $20 bill gets the kind of reporting that situation got. It should have got $20 bill and then he goes to jail, and that's the end of the story. That George Floyd thing was a setup, and so you have to understand that there are powers that be, powers that are in play that want to tell the story. If I know sometimes we be talking about, there are aliens out there who are just watching us move around and they're kind of dictating how things go and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is a part of that same story, and this part of that same thing. I can tell you, I'm just going to give y'all something to think about that George Floyd thing, and I'm going to move on. Since when have you ever seen somebody get arrested, put in a car, and they take them out? And they don't take them out at jail. They take them out in the public. That's never happened. I've been arrested before. I've never gotten an opportunity to get taken out. Like, they've never taken me out of the car. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, they walked past 2 police cars in order to put them in a police SUV, only to take them out. I just point that out for y'all just so y'all can kind of just understand the narrative. It was over a $20 bill that to this day, there's no one in my chat, in my live, on any of my streams that can tell you with a matter of fact that the $20 bill was indeed counterfeit. Nobody can attest to that. I'll dial it back a little bit further. Y'all do know that the owner of the store who reported this $20 bill situation had a Glock on him at the time. Excuse my language. He was strapped. So what's the story? He was strapped, yet George Floyd walked out of the store. Okay, so anyway, I just want to paint this picture for y'all so y'all understand that the narrative that is out there. And if you're on my TikTok, make sure you're tapping the screen and hitting the live button while y'all listen. Understand that the narrative that's out there is created by people who have a bigger agenda at play and a bigger reasoning for doing it. Of course, we understand the George Floyd situation was because they were trying to push through some certain laws and gun control and all this kind of stuff. And, they needed something at the time that it was happening. They needed to put this under the president that was in position at the same time. Fast forward, of course, we had the Cosby issue, which, I was speaking with someone earlier. Laura Bellata was on earlier with me, and she said something that's worth a conversation. She was like, what is the statute of limitation on some of these accusations? Because if y'all don't understand that this is stemming, this thing that's going on with Diddy is stemming from 2008. Y'all do realize, right? Like, a lot of this stuff is from 2008. I don't know if y'all know that. 16 years ago. The R. Kelly stuff was stemming from years ago. The stuff that with Bill Cosby, many, many years ago. So you say to yourself, what were they doing all this time? Well, they were allowing them to do what they're doing. And it was okay for them to do what they were doing because they didn't disrespect anybody. They didn't try to take anybody or infringe on anybody's money. And they didn't have the kind of power, or nor did they try to flex like they had the kind of power that got them into the position and in the condition that they're in right now. Y'all do understand. Bill Cosby situation, for those who don't know, I'll catch y'all up on Bill, R. Kelly, and then we'll get to Puffy. Bill Cosby went through what he went through because he was trying to buy NBC, the television station. Now, he had the money to do it, he had the influence to do it, but he did not have the power to do it because those people who were truly in power challenged him. That exactly. Okay, Rose said the statute of limitations is how they got Bill out. That's what's up. That's what's up. Let me put that up here. Rose said the statute of limitations is how they got Bill Cosby out of there. That's awesome. That's good to know. You would think that would play a role in some of this other stuff because I thought it was like 7 years or 10 years at the most. And all of these situations are longer than that. So Bill was trying to buy NBC television because he wanted to influence Black America. He wanted to have the control of the narrative of the pictures and the processes of how we interact with one another are out there because most of the narratives that are out there were all negative narratives. Y'all know that. Y'all know how Black people are portrayed in the press and portrayed in TV and film. And if he had owned NBC, guess what? He owns not only just TV programming, but he also owns the news division because the news doesn't get it right. And up under, I spoke about this earlier, President Obama, he lifted the law that stopped American news and American media from propagandizing its own citizens. That is now in effect. We can be propagandized, and this is why Trump called it fake news. Why? And y'all know it's fake news. Y'all know how y'all know it's fake news? Because any one of y'all can go and watch that clip out there where they got maybe 100 to 1,000 reporters reporting on the incidents verbatim, like it's a script that they're all speaking of regularly. They're just speaking on the script, da 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 da, and you're like, yo, how is that possible? And they do that because they need to control the narrative in which the American people think. They need to shape shift the way that, you know, some people call it like a psyop. You know what I'm saying? Like it is definitely a psychological event that happens when it comes to watching TV, and that's why I tell people limit the amount of TV that you watch. Believe half of what you hear and none of what you see. You know what I mean? You got to understand that this is theater at its best nowadays. They are entertaining us on all fronts, and that entertainment that you think is supposed to be real and lucid is not. It is very fluid. They're trying to create a narrative that you will follow and that you will start basing your opinions off of, which is again what's happening in this election at this time. And as much as Trump tries to debunk it, he understands that he doesn't have the American press on his side. Now, one of the cool things is he really doesn't need it because, unfortunately, the person that he's up against is not behaving, moving, communicating as if they are qualified for the position that they're seeking. If you've not watched the Kamala Oprah interview, then you're missing out on a real treat. You're missing out on a real treat because the conversation and the way she's communicating is not it's challenging to watch. You know, for anybody who's interested in voting for Kamala, it's just a challenging thing to watch. Now, on the flip side, we move forward to so y'all understand that's what we're going Bill Cosby. R. Kelly, again, you can't mess with these people's money. And you can't, and the only way you would ever challenge somebody and their money is when you think you have the power to do so. And R. Kelly raised, now, so for those of you who don't know how the industry works, the music industry is full of different entities that collect money. There are publishing divisions, writing divisions, they all collect your money, but the publishing is like your pension, meaning it's the money that's going to keep recurring every time they play your music. Now, R. Kelly, not only a writer and a producer for himself, but he's done it for other people. His catalog is ridiculous. Like, I would assume that he's rolling over in the dough every pay period, right? So when you see that pay period change or dip or something's off and you go to question it, there's a clause in each one of our contracts that says we have the ability to audit our collector, because our record labels, our publishers, they collect the income first, and then if you think something is off or something is challenging, then you have the right to audit them. And it's a sign to them, it's a sign of disrespect. We give you all this money and here you are thinking that we don't have your best interests at heart. Most times they absolutely don't. You got to remember, it's a very, very mischievous business that we're in. And so people are not forthcoming or forthright in a lot of the things and decisions that they made. You've seen it, people, artists suing different companies because of a loophole in their contract that that removes their income or challenges their status or whatnot, and then these people, you know what I'm saying, have a disgruntled relationship, and so it's in your contract that you can do that. R. Kelly was doing that with Zomba recordings, which again, if you don't know, the music industry in itself is not controlled by any black entities. No, there's not a black person or a black artist that owns a record label. They are owned by people, some who are out of this country, yet benefiting from the artists in this country and their exploitation of their music and their likeness. So you have people who are in Germany and different places and different religious backgrounds who are running the show. Not only in music, but in entertainment itself. Y'all have heard these stories before, but they're very absolutely true. And the way they manage to take their approach with people is very different. Kanye West was the last casualty that y'all heard with a stray bullet hitting Kyrie Irving. I'll leave that right there, and you can kind of go from there with the narrative that is associated with what R. Kelly was dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, again, I say this to y'all to help y'all understand. He doesn't own Def Jam, nor does he own Death Row. Those are subsidiaries of a major company that is giving them money to distribute to their talent. But keep in mind, you guys, what Bill Cosby was accused of doing, people knew it was happening in his earlier years, all that time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew what was. This is the thing. All of them knew, yet nobody did anything. Why? Because Bill was having fun. They was having fun. There was no real crime committed, and they were all just trying to have a good time. Fast forward to R. Kelly. R. Kelly, look, R. Kelly's taking care of people. He's spending money on all these people, these relationships he's got and all that kind of stuff. He's not harming nobody. But the minute he asks for his money, now he's a threat to society. He's taking advantage of people. Women who are of age now are being kidnapped. Their parents are showing up at his place, all this kind of stuff. But this has been going on. Understand that these things have been taking place for years, and supposedly everybody knew about it. The challenge I have with the R. Kelly situation is all those people who did the documentary that really was like more like the nail in the coffin, more like the alarm, more like the loud noise in the room. None of them were prosecuted. They got immunity, and that part is one of the reasons why I never watched that documentary. I said, if they're not arresting those people who were participants in the crime when they were happening, I can't watch that kind of betrayal that they did. So fast forward, here we are, many moons later. Many people have been talking about the stories of the Diddy parties and the things that were going on with Diddy, and it wasn't a problem. Man, I mean, from presidents to dignitaries, you name it, everybody wanted to party with Puff. Everybody wanted to kick it with Puff. He was a great showman. He was a great person to be around. There was no problems with Puff at all until the money comes into play. Now, you all didn't hear anything about Puff's situation. You heard these like throwaway stories here and there about, certain little things or whatever, but you didn't really hear about Puff in a negative light until what happened? Until he started challenging the liquor company that was supplying his liquor, or supposed to be supplying his liquor globally, and he felt like they were not doing that. They were trying to cause a demise. He had switched beverage companies, and the one that he mentioned happened to be they were having a disgruntled relationship. Shortly after that came to light, after he started calling them out. Remember what I said? He had the money. He felt like he wasn't getting the respect, and he thought he had the power. And they typically, again, let's defame him first publicly. Y'all got to remember, he had been broke up with Cassie, y'all. Like, he had been removed from that relationship many, many moons. Yet, the challenge of what was going on with that situation was very present. It made you think it had just happened. But if you look back, these are things, like I said, these accusations are starting from like 2008. So these people are going back in time, and they had this evidence for quite a while. Now, here's the real flip side of this thing. This is why this is really going to be interesting. Word has it that Puffy had cameras everywhere. You know what I mean? He had cameras everywhere. And that in itself is a very, very scary place for all people who attended, were involved. So I'm sure there are a lot of pleas for some of this information not to come out. I'm sure that they are handling this with such care because I'm sure like I said, that there are national and foreign dignitaries who party at a Puff party in a way that was, that was out of control. So you got people who are very concerned about their involvement and their relationships now in that sense. And they are people who have relationships that are deep-seated into politics in those relationships. And I'm sure they're like, yo, we got to figure this out. There's got to be a way we can work this out where we don't incriminate ourselves nor make it look like he was right and all that. Like, it's a fine dance that they got to do to pull this thing off. And this is, like I said, it's a very interesting time for Puff and all those people. You know what I'm saying? Like LL Cool J say, you feel for his family to have to go through this stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's got kids, and to be put in this light and have to carry that around as a part of their legacy is truly challenging, and it's unfortunate. All the aspects of, the rating of the home and all those kind of things. This is a very challenging situation for anybody to have to deal with. Fast forward to the Cassie situation, which, for those that don't know, a lot of this stuff started off with an extortion type situation. Like, they were trying to get $30 million out of Puffy. They felt like they would, like, yo, we about to write this tell-all book. I want $30 million or I won't do it. And as I mentioned earlier, that's a very sticky situation to get into. As many of you know, they tell you you do not negotiate with hostage takers. Should you do that, then they will always use that as a premise to get what they want. So in fact, if he was to acquiesce to their wants and give them this money, what's to say they don't come back down the road and continue? Because the evidence is always going to be the evidence. The proof is always going to be the proof. The facts will always be the facts, whether they come out or not. And so him not doing that really acerbated the situation. I'm not saying he wasn't wrong, Juanita. Listen, I don't know what kind of relationship they had. I know we say he's wrong for putting his hands on her, but how long had that been happening, and was she ever involved with putting her hands back on him? I would say yes. I would say most people would defend themselves, but I don't know. I can't get into that aspect of that. I do agree that and I said this before, that some of the things that we've seen come out in the light, we've seen, believe half of what you see and believe half of what you hear and none of what you see. Because the challenge is we only get bits and pieces. We don't get things from the very beginning and then we understand the context. But under no circumstances is it ever okay, unless you're defending yourself, to place your hands on a woman. Only if you're defending yourself and you can't elude or restrain or get away, I understand you got to do what you got to do to protect yourself. Now, I want to play you guys a clip. If you're on my TikTok right now, I'm going to give y'all a second to come over to Twitch or to Instagram. But I'm going to play a clip, and I want you to hear the breakdown of what's going on in this Puffy situation. It's very interesting. It's a really good take. If you're on my YouTube or on my Twitch, make sure you hit the thumbs up or the like button right now. The like should match the amount of participants we have in the room. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, it's always about the money, Juanita. I tell you, if y'all really want to know what's going on, follow the money. Tap the like button if you're on YouTube or if you're on Twitch. I'd appreciate it. If you're on my YouTube, TikTok, and you're going to be on TikTok, tap the screen or whatnot. I'm going to play you guys something real quick. Check this out.
Just details from the Sean Diddy Combs case, like truckloads of sex toys and baby oil, have captured the public's imagination. But I haven't seen a meaningful explanation of the charges in the case. So let me break it down for you today.
Okay, so what we're about to hear is a conversation about what's really going on with Puff in terms of the legality of things and what they're accusing him of, and how this all, how it manages to relate itself to one another. Listen up.
Is a federal case, but my former colleagues at the FBI did not investigate it.
Do you hear what he said? It's a federal case. Now, normally the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, are the ones who typically investigate this. So already this is a very different and peculiar situation because they're not the ones who's doing it. Keep listening.
Just details from the Sean Diddy Combs case, like truckloads of sex toys and baby oil, have captured the public's imagination, but I haven't seen a meaningful explanation of the charges in the case, so let me break it down for you today. This is a federal case, but my former colleagues at the FBI did not investigate it. Instead, it was done by Homeland Security Investigations and is being prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York. That means Manhattan. A federal grand jury released a 3-count indictment charging Diddy with a racket.
Listen to what they're charging him with, because this is important. These are the actual charges against him. Yeah, you just tap the screen. These are the actual charges against Puffy. Check this out.
Jury released a 3-count indictment charging Diddy with a racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in
prostitution. So do y'all understand the charges? Like, do you understand what they're charging him with? Listen.
Prostitution. It's important to understand that an indictment is just a finding of probable cause and doesn't mean that he's been found guilty of these accusations. If that happens, it'll happen at a non-televised trial in 2025 or even maybe 2026.
Now, keep this in mind. Most times, what happens is they indict you and then they publicly hang you out to dry so that the public opinion cannot play a role in how it can't play a role in his favor as to how this whole thing rolls out. Do you get it? If I assassinate you publicly, you have no leg to stand on. You don't have any support. These are the things that they take away from you as they take away your money. Of course, you guys understand they put a $50 million bond on him, and they have not allowed that bond to be paid because of his it's a gift and it's a gift and a curse to have money. The money is supposed to allow you to live above the BS, but you can't play in that same arena and hope to get out of it scot-free. So what happens is, because he has money and means, they're saying he's a flight risk and he might go to Bali or some other country where extradition is allowed. Well, he can't be extradited. And so assassinate his character in the public, he has no one who's going to defend him. They tried to do that with OJ as well, assassinate him in the public. They tried to do it with OJ in such a way that they never mentioned to y'all that the housekeeper who was watching over Nicole's house was a known serial killer and the actual person who killed Nicole Ray. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. We got enough episodes of these kind of conversations to get us through that. Check this out.
The activity alleged in the indictment stretches back to 2008 and claims that Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced women while engaging in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, and other crimes.
I don't think y'all caught all that. I don't think y'all caught all that. Listen to this.
The activity alleged in the indictment stretches back to 2008 and
stretches back to 2008. What that means is they've known about this since 2008. The crazy part is the FBI knew about this in 2008 and all these years, yet they're not even the ones indicting him. So that helps you understand that there's a really, really crazy play going on. Let's listen back to this indictment because I don't think y'all got it all. Listen.
Claims that Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced women while engaging in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, and other crimes.
See, he named off all of the things that they are saying he did in conjunction with his partying that were actually crimes that he was committing in the process of doing that. These are all, you notice all the names they're all the legal names of offenses that they say he committed in the process of partying with these women. Check this out.
Bribery, obstruction of justice, and other crimes. The charges that the government hit him with are usually reserved for pimps dispatching prostitutes across state lines to service paying clients.
Boom. Do y'all hear that? He got charged with crimes that a pimp would get charged. Because once you transport somebody across state lines to engage in sexual activity and you're paying them, it's illegal. It's at that point, it's called sex trafficking. Now ask yourself, how many times women have been flown out? Ask yourself how many times women that y'all hear women talk about they started the party in one place, got on a plane and went somewhere else. Well, that all is illegal. Should they say that they didn't, so they come back and say that's not how they wanted to participate and hanging out and kicking it. Now it becomes it's illegal. It's illegal regardless whether they report it or not. But if they report it, is the only way that it becomes illegal. These are not underage people. These are adults who have agreed to come and kick it, and he's agreed to say, "Look, I'll cover your expenses." Now, how that conversation is disseminated, I don't know, and I can't tell you how that's going to affect it. I think in the trial we get an opportunity to hear and listen to how that conversation happened. That you get these women, these beautiful women, on a plane to travel outside of the state that they started in order to engage in promised intimate activities for money. Like, I don't even understand how you say that. I don't know who proposes that, and then these people agreed to do it, and now it's a crime. I don't understand. But let's keep listening, you know.
Forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, and other crimes. The charges that the government hit him with are usually reserved for pimps dispatching prostitutes across state lines to service paying clients, but they're being applied to Diddy as the person who hired and imported women for sexual performances and his own wild parties.
So check this out. He's being accused of filling his party up with beautiful women. I always imagine this, and maybe I'm tripping, that millionaires and billionaires hire models to come to their parties and have an amazing time at the expense of the person who's throwing the party, because they want their parties to have this kind of look and appeal. Like, I feel in my heart that this is happening on a regular basis with other people of other statues, that they stack their party with beautiful models and women and stuff like that. And they're not being scrutinized the way that we're watching this situation happen now. I can tell you that there are yacht parties that are happening in Miami and in St. Croix and in the Caribbean and different places like that, where somebody's getting flued out. Somebody's getting flued out, and the expectation is a great time. Now, that could mean a gambit of things, drinking, and of course, people smoke weed and do all those different things that they do. That it's one of those things that you imagine is going to happen upon traveling outside the country or traveling to go visit somebody or getting flued out. This is in the culture of entertainment. These moguls that have millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, it is nothing. Listen to me, y'all. It is nothing to take 100 women, put them all. He could put them on a first class flight anywhere they want to go. Let's say 100 women. $2,000 a flight. That's $200,000 at the most, or whatever. He gets them a suite at a hotels or whatever. That's another, let's say, another $100,000. These people will spend $500,000 to say they had the best, dopest, flyest party ever. And I don't know many of these girls out here, especially nowadays, and even then, who wouldn't want to party with the who's who of the industry. Imagine this: you get a phone call. And for the girls, you get a phone call and your friend is telling you, "Hey, we finna go party with this person and this person and this person. They all gonna be there." Puffy said he invited all the who's who of entertainment, and from actors to politicians to singers and rappers. They all gonna be at this party, and he flying us out for free. Girl, it's gonna be a time is gonna be had. Y'all gotta understand that is the thought process that goes on through these people's minds. They're going to a place, they're gonna stay in a mansion, they're gonna be around millionaires and billionaires, and the hope is to link up or sync up with one of these people who's gonna spend a bag on them eventually at some point, so that they can, to make their time worth money. Now, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I don't know if y'all know this, but the time versus money thing here is ridiculous. Like, I watched a clip earlier where a young lady was saying, if a man can't cash at me $100 for lunch, or these different kind of things, he can't buy me no car, or if you can't do some of these different things, that it's going to be a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like it's not gonna go down. And so imagine these. It's not just one. We're talking about many millionaires, many influential people, mostly men, that are going to be at these parties. Some women that are going to be at this party as well, at these parties or whatnot, and having the times of their lives. You've seen clips and pictures of different entertainers dapping up Diddy and kicking it and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, and having a great time at these parties. Now, what happens at them, I have no idea, but this is all in this indictment. I can't say that, you know, one way or another if he did or didn't. It's not my place to say that. It's none of my business to say it. But again, you only hear about these instances with disgruntled black millionaires and billionaires who are asking about their money, their power, or their respect. Check this out.
According to the charges, the parties featured events called freak-offs, where Diddy would have these women perform lewd sex shows for Diddy and his guests.
Now, also understand this: a lot of the times, those people that are coming are women of the night. You know what I mean? Some exotic dancers, some stars in the industry of intimacy. Like he's inviting. Listen, people who throw wild parties invite people that they know are gonna get wild. Let's keep it 100. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't invite anyone that you think is gonna be a square, and you probably said to them in advance, "Hey, look, we gonna turn up at this party. I hope you ain't scared. I hope you ain't bringing somebody who ain't down, who ain't gonna kick it, because we gonna turn all the way up. It's gonna be lit in this joint." You know what I'm saying? We got rooms where people gonna be doing this, and people. He probably ain't saying those things, but you know when you get to those places that they have those rooms that are specialized rooms with specialized entertainment with special people in them doing some special things. For anybody to have gone to one of these parties and presumed that it was going to be all clean and wholesome type of fun, you act like you don't hear the songs that people are writing. You act like you haven't heard the raps that are being said. You act like you haven't watched the movies that have been shown and that some of these people are entertaining in. So yes, do I think that they have, at some point, all of these parties that are crazy out of control, most times, especially for some girls that they call them jump offs, they've spent money to make sure they jump off. Now listen, real quick, if you're on my live in YouTube, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button. If you're on Twitch, hit the thumbs up button. Let me know you're here and that you're with me, that you're live. We're just talking about some things and going over some of this information regarding this Diddy situation, because so many people have been asking me, what are your thoughts? I don't particularly have a thought nor a dog in the fight. I'm just presenting some information and some perspectives for y'all to look at. No, I am not an influencer as much as I am a thought provoker. I just want you to think about things. I want you to look at things from a different perspective and a different lens. I'm privy to a different perspective that I want to share with y'all and see what y'all think. Let's continue.
This wouldn't normally be a crime, but when the women resisted...
Did you hear what he said? Let me repeat this right quick. Listen to this.
Yes. This wouldn't normally be a crime, but when the women resisted his demands...
Now, that's such a huge part right there. When he said, this wouldn't normally be a crime. Now, what I just got through saying to y'all about flying women out, doing all this, this ain't a crime. Like, this is happening as I'm talking right now. It's a Monday. Somebody's returning home from a weekend of being flown out. Somebody... y'all see them girls who post them Instagram pictures where they feet up and they kicking in at some exotic location, but you never see the dude? Yeah, it's one of those. Check it out.
Yes. This wouldn't normally be a crime, but when the women resisted his demands, Diddy got violent with the girls, allegedly using force and intimidation to make them perform. There's also...
Now, that part is what I think they're going to have to prove. The part where they say he got physical with them. Now, it doesn't help that clip of Cassie is out there, because that shows that he's willing to put hands on a woman. But they're gonna have to prove that he's like they're gonna have to present some evidence of some sort. They're gonna have to present some doctor's reports. They're gonna have to present the doctor's reports that align themselves with the schedule. So if he had a party on May 7th, then a doctor's report on May 8th or 9th or something like that is going to have to present itself in order to validate it, or they're going to dismiss these claims that people are having. Keep listening, y'all.
Force and intimidation to make them perform. There's also a drug element where the freak-off contestants were given illegal narcotics to get them in the right headspace for these sex events.
Now listen, this part is typical of those people, those women of the night. Now, if you ever have been to an exotic club, at least here in Atlanta, you will know that most of the girls are high or drunk. They're on something to cut the edge of them having to perform in front of these people. Hell, there are entertainers and artists that before they go on stage, they take a shot to take the edge off. Or they smoke a blunt, or they do something, illegal drugs, like he said, these illegal drugs that he's talking about they do, to lower their inhibitions. This is the same as, and listen, I'm gonna tell y'all on the short and skinny side of that, that's like taking a girl out, y'all go out and y'all make sure y'all have drinks, The more drinks y'all have, guess what? The more you're willing to chill and kick it and, you know what I'm saying, kiss a little bit, touch a little bit more, do all those different things. So this is not unlike one of those incidents. It's just on a major scale where they have, they have access. They have access to all kind of different things that will lower your inhibitions. And so that's what's present there. So let's keep listening.
He was also financially supporting some of these women and threatened to cut them off unless they did what he said.
Now listen. This is one of those clear cases right here, this section of it, where he said he threatened to cut off women who would not do what I'm sure he told them the stipulations were for them to be kept women. It's almost like anything else. If I say, listen, these are the conditions of you being here. You got to make sure that you clean up all the rooms and you got to vacuum and you got to do all these things in order to be here, in order to get my support. This is similar exactly to that, except we're talking about an exchange of money, which, again, like I said, this is going to be a real interesting case because there's a fine line that they're treading with this indictment, of it being like things that people do. If you hire somebody for a job, you expect them to do that job, and how are they going to complain after they got the money or had the opportunity? Let's keep listening.
A lot of this was done by intermediaries from his entourage.
Boom. Did y'all hear that? He said a lot of this was done by the homies. He called them intermediaries. But these are people. So listen, this is why this thing is trippy. He's not the one directly managing these situations. He's not the one directly managing these situations with these people. So it's almost like this. If y'all ever heard anything about like how cartel, the dope game, right? If y'all ever paid attention to it, the main person with all the product, it almost never touches the product. He doesn't have to because they have people underneath him who are going to manage and supply and do all that stuff with the product. He doesn't have to do that. This is similar to that. And this is why it's so hard to convict those people at the top, is because they never touch it. All these people that do the wrong, they have elevated their positions in such a way and shielded themselves from and made themselves exempt from prosecution. This is one of those situations that's going to be very, very difficult because it's going to become a he say, she say thing, and they're going to have a direct correlation between those intermediaries and Puffy and what he's telling them to do. And here is the classic part that is going to irk all of you like it's going to irk me, is that these people were people he had on payroll that he was taking care of, and at some point he maybe stopped taking care of one or two of them, whatever, and they are the ones that are doing it. That money trail won't find them, means calm, though. That money trail that take care of these people, he can tie that up in all kind of ways, saying it was for a video shoot, it was for doing a hosting position, and there are ways that in the entertainment business they can redline those expenditures on those people and then not mean that he's paying them off. So it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, what we're gonna find is people are turning on him, and again, it's one of those things where loyalty, man, it's a hard game out here when you know what I'm saying, like you can do so much for so many people, and the minute you stop, it go crazy. The R. Kelly situation is a direct reflection of that. Check this out.
Many of whom are cooperating with the government.
Look at that. Look at that. No sooner had I said it, what did he say? Many of them are cooperating with the government. Keep listening, y'all.
Compounding Diddy's problems are allegations of a cover-up. Once the federal investigation was underway, Diddy and his crew went into damage control mode, threatening the women to keep their mouths shut or lie to federal agents, which is no bueno.
So they're going to have to be able to prove that too now. I don't know how people move when they're in panic mode, but I would hope that he didn't leave a text message, he didn't leave a voice message, that he has nothing with him saying it. He can have all these other people saying it. They're going to say at the behest of him, which, you know what I'm saying, is going to be as interesting watching this thing play out in court. But if he's not the one actually doing it, he's just a figurehead, he will get some time. He's going to have to go, they're going to make him go away for a little bit because he can't skate through all of this unhinged, unharmed. I'm sorry. He's going to have to take some accountability for it. And I think that's all we're talking about right now. Like, we're only talking about what bullets he's going to be able to dodge, because there are a lot of bullets being sprayed at him right now. But in actuality, there are only 3. we named him at the very beginning of this conversation. There are 3 indictments against him right now. And indictments don't mean you're guilty. It just means 3 things that they're building to try to come against you. Well, it's the money play. Yes, they're going to come for his money. And they're trying to come from his reputation, because your reputation can get you the money back. You know what I'm saying? They're also trying to make the relationships that he has with certain people who would help him get back on his feet get severed as well. Let's listen to this. Let's continue.
And that's pretty much the charges and what the government will have to prove at the trial. As of now, Diddy is being held in a federal jail in Manhattan awaiting that trial. You see, the allegations of witness intimidation contributed to the judge's decision to hold him.
So because he did that, what's up, Shalea? Because he threatened these people and tried to coerce these people into, changing their stories or saying something, or not saying anything to these people. They don't want him out to communicate or try to coerce or do anything or threaten anybody else to change their story or to lessen the chances of them having concrete evidence against him. Check this out.
Waiting trial, along with the fact that he has enough money to spend the rest of his life kicking it in Bali or somewhere else without an extradition treaty, making him a perceived flight risk.
Boom. Now, that's the reason why it didn't matter how much money he had. They can and will make sure that he doesn't go anywhere. That's exactly what this is about right now. Him not having a bond or letting him pay the bond is because they feel like if he gets a chance to get out of here, then he can live in another country like the king of that country, and no one can do anything to him legally. Now, of course, we know that they have different groups of people who can get over there, and if they wanted to take him out, could take him out. But he can get
just details
where he's not punished. Let me see.
In the Sean Diddy Combs case, like truckload. So in summary, this case is really about intimidation contributed to the judge's decision to hold him awaiting trial, along with the fact that he has enough money to spend the rest of his life kicking it in Bali or somewhere else without an extradition treaty, making him a perceived flight risk. Mark my words, I wouldn't be surprised to find the issue of pretrial detention to be revisited and his attorneys to find some accommodation for supervised release awaiting that trial.
Yeah, so again, we talk about how, the privilege of having money, influence, or whatnot, they will give him an opportunity to not have to sit in jail this whole time. Like he's done too much, he's made too much money, he's got too many relationships for him to be held as a commoner in jail until his trial comes. It just sounds absurd. Even in repeating it, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? That's a concern or issue that they would have. But they've done more for, they've given access to be free to people who've done very heinous crimes and unaliving people and all those different kind of things. I don't see where this would be a situation like that where, unless they bring up those other iconic people that he worked with that did happen to get unalived. I don't know what, what I'm saying. It'll be interesting. But they do have, so that's another thing that we don't talk about, is that there's an ongoing conversation in trial right now with a known gang member who he was supposed to have hired to take out Tupac. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts right now. Let's hear this wrap up right quick.
In summary, this case is really about a rich guy using money and force and intimidation to compel women to put on wild sex shows for he and his buddies. That's it. Will he be found guilty? Hell if I know. The prosecutors in the Southern District of New York are the best in the country, but Diddy will no doubt put together a legal dream team to force the government to rise to their burden of proof while poking holes in the government's case and undermining the credibility of the witnesses.
Now, as I spoke about this throughout the night, y'all do understand that some of the things that the government is going to have to do and prove is it's going to be difficult for them to do that, because every so often you keep hearing us saying that Puffy has removed himself from direct contact of these incidences. There's the one incident with Cassie where you actually see him put his hands on her, but they're going to have to provide more than that. Now, here's the other part that we haven't kind of talked about, is the fact that there's supposed to be recordings of all the parties and the things that happened at these events that were seized at that home. We ain't talked about that. Now, what's admissible from that is going to be interesting, because there may be some self-incriminating things on there. I hope there isn't, for his sake, but there may be some things that help tell the story that the government or the prosecutors are going to want to disclose, and how they obtain that information makes a difference. You know what I'm saying? What's admissible is going to make a difference. And it's going, it's going to be interesting. We're only at the beginning of this, and there's so much mudslinging going along, and there's so much public humiliation, and people joining the bandwagon to bash him and say all these negative things about him. It's incredible. And there's a conversation that's out there on social media where people are taking a stance and saying, why is it that as a black community, we're always siding with the side of those people that are coming against us? Why no one is out there protecting and having a conversation saying, let's just wait and see what happens? You know what I'm saying? Check this out.
We'll just have to wait and find out what happens. But again, there's not going to be any resolution to this until 2025 or 2026 when the trial actually happens in New York.
So to his point, we are at least a year to 2 years away. I would tell Puffy to get Brian Steele, who is handling the YSL case. I'm serious, but you know what I'm saying, to get him involved. But Means asks, is his career over realistically? I think his career, so to speak, had already been, I think he's done the height of his career in the entertainment business for music, but he had already pivoted to, doing the revolt situation. He had already pivoted to the alcohol situation. As long as he has money, he has opportunities to do things, and it doesn't have to be directly through him. Which of course, Revolt is still running, and he has, he's taken himself from behind the wheel. I don't think that they can stop him from. I don't even think, even with his imprisonment, should it ever happen, I don't think they can stop him from earning, if that's the question. They can't stop him from earning. I don't think they can't stop him from taking care of his family. Hopefully, there was a conversation being said, hopefully he's visited the Cayman Islands and made some deposits. Hopefully, for his sake, he's put some things in his daughters and his son's names that they could sustain the lifestyle that they're used to. That will be the hope of anyone who, and if you're in anything that is not of a positive, positive means, hopefully you've covered your bases. You know what I mean? The fast money comes and goes fast. You know what I'm saying? You got to have yourself in a situation where you got to plan for the worst, right? When I watched American Hustler with Denzel Washington, I was hoping that instead of burying money out in the backyard like he did, that he took it over to another country, or set himself up, which I don't believe he turned over all that money when he got out either. Like, if y'all think Frank didn't have an exit strategy, he seemed too intelligent of a person to not have stashed something away. I would have, you know what I'm saying? When you're making those kind of dividends, you have to plan for the inevitable. You know what I'm saying? Protect yourself said Diddler be diddling. That's hilarious. When people are saying that, it is crazy. King Duke, I appreciate that, man. King Duke said, let me put that up there on the screen for y'all right quick. King Duke said, great conversation. I hope so, you know what I'm saying? Because I just want to give you guys another perspective. Again, I'm definitely not wishing for anybody's downfall. I met Puffy on a couple occasions with a mutual friend or whatnot out in New York on two separate occasions. One, he was, with Jay-Z, Pharrell, and him and my homie and whatnot. And I never got any of these kind of things. Of course, I've never, again, I'm so neutral with this stuff. I'm gonna be sitting by like y'all as a spectator. I may revisit this conversation and we may talk more about it, but this is the first of many conversations that I hope to have with y'all about pop and music culture, things that are happening right today in real time, and just give y'all a perspective on how I look at it. Because I like to look at myself as a very logical person, just kind of examining things before I lend my opinion, doing some research to get more intel, and bringing to you content and people who are absolutely invested in how these things are being disseminated to the public. For me, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy having this conversation with y'all. I enjoy presenting this piece to y'all. If you enjoyed what you watched today, I don't know if you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitch or any of these sites that you see. You see I have my YouTube up here, I have my Twitch right here, and I have my Instagram right here. Follow and support the channel. Subscribe on any of that you can. I did not include my Cash App or anything like that. If you guys want to make any kind of donations or whatever, you can do it within the programs that they have set up for that or whatnot. But I appreciate y'all tuning in and having a great time having this conversation. Hopefully you opened your mind up to some things. Hopefully I gave you some information that you hadn't heard before. I gave you a perspective to look at this thing. So when you get in your circle with your friends and you have these conversations, that you're able to give people another way of looking at it without admonishing someone who's done so much for the not only the culture, but he's moved the chains with a lot of things. Now I can't say he's done everything 1,000% right. I can't say that I'm in agreement with any man in all the things that they do, nor should you be, without doing an immense amount of homework to study, to have these conversations and be able to communicate them back and forth. But I enjoy doing it, and I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. We had a good little crowd, you know what I'm saying, popping in and out, and some great questions and some great statements from some amazing people that joined me today. I hope you guys look at me as a resource for you guys, to have a great conversation. Like I said, this is not just for, listen, do not hold me hostage. Do not keep me to yourselves. Share me with your friends and family that may this audience grow a little bit more, and we can have more people open-minded thinking about these processes and these people that they're putting out there and managing. You know what I mean? Jill says, thanks, Scrap. Certainly can't trust fake news media. That is very true. We got to do the research ourselves. For those of you who are on my TikTok, I'll see you guys in the morning with our apple cider vinegar drink. And we'll tune in tomorrow night. Maybe I'll do this again. Maybe we'll do this again where we talk about some different things. Again, I was on my live earlier. Somebody said, Scrap, we need to talk about this Diddy situation. And I know that directly I can't have this conversation on TikTok. I got 2 restrictions on TikTok already while having this conversation tonight. This is why I do it on YouTube and Twitch. They are, I don't think their AI is as strict, you know what I'm saying, as strict as, as TikTok. And I'm trying to play nice with TikTok because I enjoy being on that platform. A lot of my supporters and fans and followers are on there, and they treat me very well. And it is the media that I use the most, and then YouTube and then Instagram. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Be sure to tell somebody about this. This will be posted on Twitch and on YouTube for review and for you to skate through and to share. And one of the cool things that YouTube has done is it has made it so if you just want to share a clip, you can actually outline the clip that you want to share. You don't have to share the whole thing. There may be a part that you found interesting. There may be a part that you found exciting or shareable. Feel free to do that on any of the platforms that you guys have heard me on. I'd appreciate that. Just tag me in it when you do so I can repost it and share that you thought it was just as interesting as I did. For those of you who are coming in late, you got to follow me, turn on notifications to always. That way you could be always on point with when I go live, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, and you can be a part of the conversation. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good night.